Well, yeah, it's happening. 7:30.
Yeah, they usually do. People are gonna go ahead and get theirs for them. So that they're-
Thought of it for the extra time, too.
I think they
Bright green neighborhood, looks like. I don't see. Dad, I don't know, I kept looking up to see what that was.
I didn't know that this was. You've had. How come David? Friday plan.
He's never come.
Is this the first one?
Well, I gave him a heads up that
First time I ever had
there's
it.
a whole team from the meeting. I was glad, that's my pick,
I
but
told Jim,
I'm sad to see
I told Jim, I said, you should come. I said, you're a department head, you should come.
he's done.
Even though he's the only one in his department.
He's done, no talking.
Right.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Jim, would you lead us in the pledge?
Everybody stand, we'll say the pledge.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rick, would you like to pray?
You can start it off. You start it off.
I can, yeah. Since we have so many new faces here tonight, I've got several that I haven't met before. I think we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Jessica Hightower. I'm the Economic Development Director for the county. My office is here in the annex building. I am currently also trying to help Public Works work because our administrator had an accident. But I'm here for if anybody needs anything. You guys can call me. I'm here. Go ahead.
I'm David McCullough, District 2 Commissioner.
Jim Johnson, District 3 Commissioner.
Rick James, District 1 Commissioner.
I'm Gary Early, Parker City Council.
Ashley Balthazar, Parker City Council.
Cody Adams, Parker Mayor.
Jake Mattingly, Pleasant City Council.
Teresa Whitaker, City Administrator, Pleasanton, Kansas.
Mike Sweet Pleasanton, Mayor.
Shayna Land, Mound City Councilman.
Jody Wade, City of Latham, Clark.
Josh Baldwin, consultant in Mound City.
Wade Doring, Mount City Mayor.
Lawrence Bullock, Mountain City Council.
Zach Gillis, Prescott Council.
Kevin Wood, Mayor President.
Max Charles, the Mountain City Clerk.
Christy Schmitz, Register of Deeds from the courthouse.
Darren Wilson, Lynn County Planning and Zoning, and my office is also in here. And I've got business cards for everybody that if you want one, I can get it to you.
Would you like to go in the back?
Lou Donaldson, Lynn Valley.
County Sheriff.
Okay. We do have a couple. Sorry. We've got a couple chairs up here if anybody wants to move up. So I was asked to schedule this meeting with everybody. I think something that we're all interested in tonight is the infrastructure grant that was recently discussed in the commission meeting. The question was posed, what do the cities use the grant funds for? So I put together a spreadsheet. If anyone would like to talk about what their city has used the grant funding for the last 4 years, go right ahead.
Blue Mountain's just, we was way behind on poles, pretty much all of ours went. We're also getting ready to build a new substation.
City of Latham has also utilized the dollars over the years. We've been working on all areas of infrastructure, starting with the water and maneuver to sewer, and those funds were utilized. It pretty much runs anywhere between 30 to 55,000 to give with engineers to just have your simple discussions for PBR development, in order to even consider or pursue bonds or grants. So we did utilize that to move forward in those steps, to try to get our infrastructure systems, back up in good working order.
Pleasanton used the money for some sidewalk projects through the Kansas Department of Transportation, safe transportation routes to school. And we also used it for some road repairs. And most recently, we did not do phase 2 because the construction costs had skyrocketed. So we requested the money to be used for street repairs in hopes that we get some money from the federal government to do some street repairs. And we were just gonna hold on to it for a minute.
Mountain City's used theirs for, we've done a lot of, our manhole lining our manholes. That's been the majority of ours has been for that and other sewer stuff. This year we have allocated it for streets, I'm sorry.
Parker has used theirs for streets, and we've had a leak in the dam at the lake that we are having to repair, and we've allotted some of that money for that.
Prescott used it to update our light poles for a few years, and then this year we've used it. We just got done chip and sealing our east side of town and all of Main Street.
Do you guys have questions?
I don't have.
So anyway, I want to welcome you all for here. I think this is our third or fourth time, maybe third time, third or fourth. Thank you for coming. Thank you gathering around here. We changed locations because we wanted to put it on YouTube with video so you'd all be famous, as we are sometimes for things we say. But so we put it out there for everybody, so your residents could have the opportunity to watch, maybe, and come back and look at and review it later on. So anyway, thank you. Give you a little update on what the county's doing, real quick. And you want to do that, Jim, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
The county our justice center is just about done, and I'll let the sheriff later on, if he's going to speak about when you're going to possibly move your people over there, and the courts starting over there as well. Probably going to be a while, is that right? Probably August, September, sooner? About a month. Okay, so there'll be a open house too, so if you get the opportunity to walk through it, if you haven't already, it's quite a setup over there. And so our next project will be the old district court building, moving the appraisers and the mapping off that top floor, since there's no handicap stuff there, to move them into that building there and take some the money that's left over. It shouldn't take a lot to make some minor adjustments to that building as well. So there are 2 buildings left: the jail, which will be demolished. So we'll put that out for bid, and hopefully someone will want to take that down. There's lots of metal and stuff in there. Somebody will want it. There is the old district or county attorney's office. It's not a bad building. It's just old, needs updated. I think we're going to hang on to that for a while and see if there's any government agency that needs it or wants it, or we don't really have a use for it right now. But that one will be there, and I don't think we'll do any changes to that. And then from there, we'll come back into with whatever money we have left over, we'll be working on the inside of the first floor of the courthouse itself. I don't know if we're going to be able to afford to put HVAC in or not. It's got the old theme things in there. You know, you sweat or you freeze. That's your choices. So that'll probably be a project in itself. So that's what we're doing over there as well. And Danny, you want to talk anything about the road crews and stuff? What we're doing out there?
Yeah, well, we're kind of thinking that we might put a crew of a few guys together, 2-3 guys, with maybe a mini excavator and a skid steer, and start working on the ditches. Maybe we're going to talk to our road foremans this next week, and we'll see if we get something going on that instead of just putting gravel on the roads and letting it wash away. I know there's been a lot of rain, and I've got a lot of phone calls from a lot of people, but know the guys are out there working. They're working hard on it when they can. So
We've had a lot of improvements on the roads around the areas.
So is there anything we're missing on?
The senior center at Pleasanton, we're talking.
yeah, we're having a few different trades go through that and look at it and see what it's going to cost to remodel it, and if that's the route we want to go or not. Been working on that a long time. I don't know what we're going to do there yet, but we're getting options.
So let's just go around with our county people and talk. Jessica, you've already spoke. You want to tell them exactly what you do and the codes and all that stuff?
So I'm in charge of planning and zoning, also code enforcement in the county, nuisance codes, sanitation codes, building permits. So if any of you have any questions, I mean, office is always open.
Okay. Christie, Arrestor Deeds,
I'm the county's filing cabinet.
there you go. Tell me a little brief about exactly what the Register of Deeds does.
I'm not really.
Well, the register of deeds, I don't know, as most of y'all know what we do in there. We record the documents that you bring us, and then our main priority is to serve the public, and people come in and they call, and we have documents online that they can actually get on and do their research from home, but they have to pay for the subscription for that, and it's rather high. But that's good, because we want them, if they're gonna buy a subscription, we want to make sure that it's, that we vet the people and make sure it's a good company that's getting on and getting our records. So last fall, somebody had mentioned that it would be neat to beautify the courthouse. So I got in touch with the master gardeners here in Lynn County, who put me in touch with the master gardeners in Miami County. And they all came, and all the department heads in the courthouse and whoever wanted to come. We had a meeting and made plans for gardens around the courthouse. And we've completed almost completed. There's never enough mulch, but we did phase 1, which consists of a little circular garden with a butterfly bush in the center. And then we did some landscaping around the ramp area that goes up to the back door, and we put in a yellow red bud. I'd never heard of one, but it's a beautiful tree it's a red bud. It looks like a regular red bud in the spring, but the leaves come out as yellow, and they turn blaze orange in the fall. So it should be a real pretty centerpiece for the garden over there. And then we've got crepe myrtle, smoke bush, Wigelia. I can't say half the stuff. Anyway, it's going to be really beautiful, and it's nice. And we get a lot of compliments from the public that come in and say they really like it. So the master gardeners even donated $500 towards the plants and everything. And then they did an estimate for us, and it was just pretty much spot on what their estimate was for the dirt. And yeah, Josh knows about that. And the mulch and the plants and everything. It was just, and then we all got together and did the digging. So it's kind of fun. But anybody that wants to get involved, we're sure open for participation.
And if maybe a project in your city, maybe if you get some ideas from her, or some tips from who they can contact for the master gardeners, if you need that. Mitzi in the back, health department, tell us what you're up to.
COVID continues, and we vaccinate every Wednesday on a walk-in basis. You don't want to all of our other services except WIC have turned into a walk-in basis. So if you need any immunization, testing, anything, just walk in and get it. WIC is by appointment only. I have an RN that fell in, WIC RN, breastfeeding care counselor, a clerk, and a dietitian. So we have a night for staff, trying to get out in the community and do health promotions and something besides COVID. And, of course, probably here in about 2 months, we'll be ready for flu season. If you have any questions, walk in anytime.
Don't you have an event getting ready to come up? An event getting ready to come up? Have some night or something?
next week, yes, there's an event called Dad's Fingers and Donuts, and to celebrate dads. Especially new dads, teaching them different stuff, doing a lot of giveaways. And then our big thing this year is the community baby shower and the children's safety fair. And we want it to be very big. We're gonna feed everybody, hopefully we're planning on at least 200 or more. And so we have lots and lots of giveaways, lots of stuff for moms, lots of stuff for kids. Kevin's office is taking kind of charge of all the trucks, all touch trucks that come out to the parking lot. I think there'll be sheriff's car, and ambulance is gonna be there, fire, maybe the ATV safety, so just, it's kind of growing every day. So we'd like to see as many people as possible come out, get it at the church. First Baptist. Lots of fun.
Kevin?
Feel like I'm following an infomercial. Yeah, last year that was a great event. We had a good time. So I passed you guys out some numbers, responses, not only for your cities, but for responses from our office as well. And I wanted to explain just a little bit of numbers, and I'm just going to use Mound City because they're first of the list there. So calls for service answered by Lane County Sheriff within the city limits. In Mound City in 21, we responded to 536 calls, and oddly enough, for the past year, as of the first, we responded to 535 calls. So then you'll see as you go over, we take out the calls for service that are actually at the sheriff's office. That's our address, 107 South Ford. And then we remove the calls. We had 701 calls there that we were called into. So we didn't want to throw that on Mound City like we were responding to all of those for their city, because those were actually for the county, for county calls. And then we took out the school, which is 415 South 6. We had 253 calls for service there. So that kind of explains how that works. And, you'll go down to the next line item and see calls for service answered by municipal police within the city limits. So there, you see Mound City's call load was up a little bit compared to 21, from 163 to 229. You look at Pleasanton, they're up, 275 calls or so. So 1,050 in 21 to 1,322 in 22. So it just kind of gives you an idea of where your city is on some of your call loads and some of our call loads to your city. Then we go down and talk about calls for service just from my office. 21, we had 8,881, and then 22, 12,064. And then just to kind of show the amount of stuff that's coming into dispatch, essentially, total calls for service, all Lane County, that's all Lane County law enforcement, that's all Lane County fire, all municipal law enforcement, all municipal fire, and AMR in those numbers. And you'll see from 21, we responded or dispatched 16,917 calls versus 22, 21,000 calls. So we're talking about a pretty big jump this year in call load. And quite honestly, each and every city, you're seeing an increase, and if not an increase, things are staying fairly steady. There's no drastic drops. So what is that telling us from the law enforcement perspective is that, quite frankly, we're all busier than we probably were a year ago. So it's something to think about when your police departments are talking to you about budgeting and stuff. I don't know what numbers they might pull for those situations, but I think it's important for our municipalities to know, our commissioners to know, everybody who's in charge of those funding numbers to understand that call loads are going up to the tune in Lynn County in total 4,000 to 5,000 calls in this past 12 months. So it's just numbers to chew on. Aside from that, of course, we operate the Lynn County Jail. We have control. You guys see those folks out. We have bailiffs in the court, 2 assigned there. I have 3 detectives assigned to the Bureau. And we have 6 school resource officers in Lynn County. So those are kind of the things we do. We're really good at numbers because we run our system. So if the cities truly need statistical data as to what
your law enforcement officers are doing. If they're dispatching through the county, we're gonna have that information. Don't ever be afraid to reach out to us. It's a service that we'll do for you. It's not gonna cost you anything. Because quite frankly, when we tell you your numbers are up and you have to go out and find more police officers or more fire units or whatever's going on in your town, it benefits the county as well because we all get to work together with those folks too. So, don't ever hesitate to reach out if you guys need something. I'm more than happy to assist. I would suggest you call me personally. If you get a hold of my dispatch, they're gonna say, oh my God, we're busy. And, but I can always help with those types of things. So, stand for any questions. If y'all have any, you can ask later, whatever you want to do, I'll hang around. But, don't hesitate to contact us and let us serve you. That's what we do.
Okay, AMR, just real quickly, talk about Pleasanton, your dispatch over there, and your Lacey and Centerville, real quick. What's going on there?
Pleasanton's still in the same station there. I apologize, I didn't know that I need numbers or anything.
You know.
Print anything. We did move to the new building in Lacey, so Station 2 up there is in the 4th Street house. And we're really enjoying it, appreciate that. Centerville, now it's running out of the Expedition, instead of an old ambulance just out from Little, so we have a little bit more mobility and can get in and out of the communities better. Help with that. So, everything else, we're busy, our numbers are up, I know we're more than we were last year. Our guys are tired, we're still short 2 people, but we've been filling it in with staffing, internal. Keep that up, so we'll get some more higher.
And just real briefly, because if you're over in Centerville and Blue Mountain, you probably know what goes on. But if you're from some of the other towns, you might not. There's not a third ambulance over there, so what service do you provide over there? The supervisor's over there.
Yeah, the supervisor is stationed there in Centerville by himself in the Ford Expedition, and it has all the frontline ALS. It has the same medications, monitor systems, and everything that the ambulance has on, and each of the supervisors are paramedics. So we respond in as a first response unit. We can do some stuff on our own. We did the demo earlier in the year with the new CPR machine, so we're even able to do that by ourselves. So we respond in as a medic. We initiate there and start it until the ambulance gets there, and then they transport through.
You work with the fire departments as well, for medevacs,
Absolutely.
lift, and different things that goes on. You ever need any questions for AMR, they're there for you. So if you don't mind, we'll just go around and see what each town's doing. We'll just start with Kevin over there.
What we're doing. Oh, we're doing quite a few things, I guess, this year. Like I said, we just got through doing the roads. That was our first appointment, but we're gonna do that. We gotta do our ditches. We're figuring on cutting the ditches and getting them drained better and putting a lot of whistles in. Well, I do have one thing, because I had once before I talked to the commissioners about putting Welcome to Prescott sign on their fire station. You know, we can see if we can do that, because we never did get it done again. I just want to throw that out there. You can talk about it whenever. So that's in the making. We're working on a children's park, trying to get a grant to do children's playground, young children, because we have older children playground. We want to get some younger in there. What else say?
Well, we've been talking with the state and the county a little bit about the highway going through town. We want to get it cleaned up, get all the silt out of the gutters, which the state said they would help with that. But we had to talk with the county about where Ungenauer meets 239. It holds water there all the time. It's always held water there. And previous years, we've debate back and forth about whose responsibility it is. And I just got the runaround from everybody else, and I finally just kind of said, you know what? We're just going to fix it because I'm tired of it. We're all tired of it. And they finally gave us responses. Oh no, that's yours. So we're going to take care of that. That's going to go wrapped in with our ditches. And we had talked years ago about maybe starting to spray down at home for mosquitoes, but that might be part of our drainage problem. We have a horrible drainage problem. Everybody's whistles are silted in, the ends are smashed. I mean, there's just too many to count. That's kind of our main thing for this year. We want to get that taken care of.
And we'll probably get cold center days, we'll probably get back on the goal this year. And we're looking like,
September 24th.
Are you, on your children's grant, where are you trying to get that through? Trying to get a grant for the children's playground?
Right.
Who are you trying to go through to do that?
I was talking to Jessica.
Okay. I don't know if the ones we did for Prairie View or for Lacey and Parker, if the same organization can help out. As far as the grant
CDBG,
company.
was that a CDBG grant?
I don't remember.
As far as your sign, you just want to put it on the, this is the first time I've heard about it. This might have been before my time, but you're wanting to put it on the fire department land? Is that what you want? Or what do you?
It'd be right there on the corner as soon as you come into town. Be on
About where that tree is in the middle, so it wouldn't bother the fire station any. We might want to take the tree down, because it's a dead tree anyway. Just put a little sign there, just welcome the press. We kind of got the okay a long time ago, but we didn't get the job done. So it'll be a rock sign.
Who's next? Mound City?
Okay. Main thing we're working on, we got our splash park over here. We're in the home stretch on it. Our scheduled opening is July 9th. The rain has just kind of killed us on getting the final touches done on it, but, that's one thing. We got our guys are putting the digital water meters in, that we have them all purchased for the city already. They're just, as they can, they put new meters in. Summertime is a big time for them to really do a push for that. So, we hired an extra summer help guy to help do that. So that, we're doing some upgrades out at the city lake. We've already put in, some primitive camping spots, out there. We're in the process of clearing some land to possibly set up some RV pads out there also. So moving forward in the next year, we hope to have multiple, at least 10 camping spots out there to kind of utilize that for something just, people are going out there and they're camping anyway. We might as well make it nice and see if we can utilize that for something more than just fishing and people camping out there without just throwing a tent up and camping. So, but that's a big thing that we're really pushing for. Our guys, kind of like everybody else, our ditches are kind of needing some work. So we got a couple guys also doing that. So, kind of like everybody else, the rain has has jacked with everybody, I think. And it's keeping most of our city guys busy, dealing with that, dealing with, trying to keep up with mowing now. I think once the sun comes out, it's just going to be going crazy mowing. So, but that's kind of some of the things that we got going on right now.
I will add on to that. We did, we're in the process of applying a grant to open up 1,200 feet of angler access, since we're kind of landlocked on our city lake, to open up some more shoreline access for more fishing. We're in the process of that, and we did get approved to add an additional pier, which we took a lot of the rubble that came out of the building process of taking the parking lots and things out, so we'll actually be able to utilize that at our city lake that we kind of scavenged from your guys' construction project. So
You guys work with Don George on that?
we actually did. I've had a couple meetings with him, and it's helping us write the grants.
Lacey?
We have our KDOT PLIT project has been going for the last month at the intersection of Market or Highway 152 and Industrial Boulevard. So at this point, it'll add a turning lane on the highway to turn on to the industrial park, and add an additional turning lane on Industrial Boulevard for the trucks to get onto the highways. So the rain, of course, is held up on a little bit, but anticipation is hopefully over the next couple months to get that one wrapped up. Our sewer rehabilitation project is getting started. Our contractors are getting mobilized this past week. And so that'll be a 1-year project, and that will be relining or replacing sections of the main, going through the manholes, and making sure any repair tuck points that need to be done there, replacing taps. And then second phase will be desludging the lagoons and doing some updates on the lift station. And then we added a settling pond to our water plant. So that project is, the new pond is built, and we're just waiting for, again, the rain to settle some so we can desludge the existing pond. And so now we'll have additional storage basis of water, raw water. We're currently working with IBTS, or we have been over the last few months, on our comprehensive plan update for our planning and zoning. So we're probably sitting, I would say, maybe a couple months behind where you guys are in yours. So we're kind of moving along hand in hand with what updates of things you all are looking at. Lacey is also looking, through all of our comprehensive plans for updates. We have hired on with BG Consultants to create a stormwater master plan for the city of Lacey. So that will be addressing the entire city, having a survey and LiDAR performed throughout the city on our drainage possibilities and where we can maneuver using natural ways that are already in existence, and what we can do to alter in ditches and things to keep the water moving that needs to be moved. So that will probably somewhere maybe midsummer, we'll get rolling on some of that going. And then we have an analysis that's being performed on the water plant. We also just updated on our software for our cemetery, the city cemetery. So we're getting all that put in now on an electronic basis. So we'll have everything within the system and get the mapping department has been helping us for getting electronic maps created also. And then our next step, or some things we've been looking at, is once we get all of the sewer project completed, that pretty much takes care of the majority of our underground. So the streets are, once we get the stormwater master plan kind of identified, that will help us on our streets for looking at that particular project. And we're looking to address that this time instead of just doing a solid overlay of the whole city. We're going to, the street committee would like to just evaluate and look at every single street and try to determine what are the main thoroughways. I know we've visited a little bit with Sean a few times on the 4th Street interconnect.
Yeah, I got something for you. All of you on that, we're checking the ARPA funds, but we still have money left over. We gave some of that to broadband last week, or on Monday, as you know. So the connecting links are those links county connects that go through the main part of whatever town. So we're looking at to see if we can use some of those funds to redo those roads. Okay, so that may be something we can assist you with. I'm not sure yet, but because there's lots of rules and stuff, so we're trying to figure all that out. She's trying to figure it all out for us. And
that would be good, kind of know, because we did submit last year KDOT cost share, because since it's also an interconnect with KDOT for us on 4th Street, so we did make an attempt. But if there's opportunity that we can, obviously you get better points and scores the more that you have of dollars that you're contributing towards it. So if there's a chance that some ARPA could be interconnected with our reserve funds too, that would go great on the KDOT cost share grant opportunity. I believe that's going to be coming up in the spring again for an opportunity to submit. So we do have an application and stuff all squared away that we had prepped with an engineer last year. So if there's any additional that we could add to that, we'll definitely go ahead and submit it in again. If the county would be in support for that, we'll proceed again in the spring and submit that grant application.
Did I send you an ARPA application?
Yep. Okay. And I was going to try to reach out just to get some at least get for sure. I didn't know whether, all the qualifications are probably hand in hand with what we have in our ARPAs that we receive.
Right, so our grant administrator is leaning towards yes, but they would need more information on the individual projects to give a definitive whether
Right. For the
apply or not. Yeah, so go ahead and fill out that application and get it to me and we can get you better information.
Okay. And then other than that, we're also obviously hand in hand with our comprehensive plan. We're also digging into our zoning regulations and some of our codes. Obviously haven't been updated in a while, but with a lot of the housing growth that's going on, not far from us, we feel it's really good that we need to start looking at some of our policies and things that we have on when it comes some of our manufactured home policies and our landlord policies or non-existence of and housing information. So all of those sections are being currently reviewed right now by the council in preparation to come out with some drafts to sit down with the community and visit on or some new policy in those
Is that
areas.
comprehensive plan, is it, they gonna help you out with that, the committees?
And the comprehensive plan, IBTS, has been working with our planning and zoning commission.
Yeah.
Yep, so we've been working with them for the last, probably, 6 months now. So at this point, we're just about, we finished all our surveys, we're doing some online surveys, we're getting ready to push out again. We'll be at our Blast in the Park on July 9th. We'll have a booth set up there to try to get even more feedback if we can from the community to get a final draft, hopefully start, get created so we can send that to the community. So that's everything we have going on right now.
Kevin, I was texting someone, Lacey Elementary and Parker, of course, is about the same, their playgrounds, and I don't know if it would apply to you guys, but they received a $15,000 Kaboom grant from Kaboom. And then they also got a $20,000 matching grant from the state of Kansas for the rubber mulch, so,
Nice.
That interconnected road, that Ungenauer road, that might, you might talk to Jessica about that, the ARPA funds, if we do that, might help you with that.
Was it Ungehauer and what did it turn into?
It'd be Ungenauer 239.
230, okay.
It'd be just across, it'd be on the northwest corner.
Okay.
Kind of right before the track, right?
Yeah, if you drive through Prescott after rain, yeah, that's the big puddle right there.
I bet you drove through it.
Pleasant.
Oh, hi. Okay, so we just finished our second annual Thunder on the Street rally, and it was screaming success. And I wanted to take time to thank the Sheriff's Department, the Health Department, Emergency Management, AMR, and everybody that came from the county to help. And I saw a lot of people from other cities come, and it was amazing. It was great, and we hope to keep doing that. It does put a drain on the staff, but other than that, it's a great return. Yeah, and they hope to expand next year potentially to a 3-day event. And I did speak with them about potentially joining with some other cities to make it a, maybe stop in Lacey and do this on Friday, and Pleasanton this on Saturday, and Mound City this on Sunday. So that's something we may explore. I'm not sure for which year, but that's something we're talking about. We've had a few houses built in Pleasanton, or actually we've had 2 plus a couple of that are under construction right now. We have a business building permit that's getting ready to be going. So things are growing in Pleasanton. We've also been working on our comprehensive plan. However, I'm trying to save money by doing a lot of the legwork as far as a lot of the research myself first before we dig into paying for it. So we've been putting all the research together for the last few years, just so we have that book a lot more ready to go. We've had some dam inspections going through BG Consultants, and everything came out wonderful there. We are trying to save as much money as we can for a rather big street project. Our guys are actually in the process of cutting and rolling streets right now on their own, but actually one of the things I was going to request tonight is if we can't get any of the infrastructure money that's coming through the federal grants that are going to be coming down the pipeline, it seems that most of them are actually geared towards reducing fatalities, or maybe they're trying to repair bridges, and that's just not something that works for Pleasanton. So I was going to potentially talk to you guys about being able to give you some of the income that we have set aside to potentially come in and do some of our streets. And I know you had talked about maybe not doing your streets or not doing road work anymore, maybe contracting it out. But before you decide to do that, we'd love to talk to you and maybe have you guys come and help if you have the capability and give some of the money you gave us back to you. So that's definitely something I hope we can talk about a little bit more. And we're not near as busy as you, and I feel sorry for you. We don't have much going on as far as big projects. We've done all of our water. I will say that our next thing that we need to be looking at is looking at sewer, because we're doing a lot of ditches, we're doing a lot of culverts, and but we know you've got to do the sewer first before you do the roads. But at this point, it's a toss-up. So we're going to hit the roads and come back and do the sewers afterwards, probably. Our pool is in bad repair also. We don't want to close it. It's, as somebody said, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. But we have replaced so many pieces and parts to it, and I'm sure by the time we're done repairing everything, it's going to be brand new again. Either that or we try and rebuild. I know pool grant money is not out there, not very much. So I'm glad you're opening a splash park, and I'm glad you guys have a pool, because if it finally does bite the dust at year 60, which it seems like that'll be how old it'll be by the time we close it, if it happens, and we have someplace to go until we decide what's going to happen. We do not want to close it. We want to keep it open, but at some point you just have to decide where your losses are. So that's it.
All right, Parker. We've been a little behind the times. We're probably the smallest town, so we haven't had a maintenance person or anything. We've hired that out, contracted it out, and last year we'd actually hired a maintenance person. We put in a ton of culverts. We did the streets last year. We have had to take some of our park equipment for our littler kids that was just outdated and fallen down, and we have had to remove it, and we're working on replacing it. We have big equipment, but it seems like you need something for toddlers. The toddlers go to the big kids, and then next thing you know, they get ran over. So it's kind of best to have two separate parks there, and we're working on another smaller park. We're having to repair the tube that goes through the lake. That's kind of been an ongoing project. Just one of them deals, too many steps, and the rain has not helped. So that's on the agenda to finally get done. The original it was a standpipe that went all the way to the bottom and across the bottom of the dam. Well, the only way to get rid of that would be to cut the dam. So we actually had to seal it off and use the overflow. And then we were going to put a cross-through pipe in at water level. So we won't actually lose the lake. We will be able to maintain what's there just by pumping down 5 feet. We'll be able to set the new pipe and go from there. Basically, we're just trying to catch up and take care of things as they come. We have a ton of drainage issues, and we've conquered a lot of them the past couple of years, and it's just one thing at a time. So, gotcha.
Who met us? Did you? I'm sorry, we get skipped a lot. We're in the middle of a sewer study paid for by USDA. We're also at the end of applying for a water study through USDA. Our two parks, we, through volunteer work, have redid both of them this spring, and wanting to look at grant money to make them bigger, whatever, which the city will support part of that too. Our biggest project this summer will be, like I said, we're getting started on our electric. Basically, our substation is 3 transformers, but we bought that from Westar when it was still Westar before they redid it, and then wanted to charge us monthly for it. So we own it. We're going to rebuild it on put a ground mount instead of up on poles type of deal. And then of course streets are going deal, but that's the biggest things we have going on.
Lindell?
We don't have anything to report.
Okay. So does anybody want to bring up anything, want to talk about anything right here?
We really want that infrastructure money again.
Can you guys walk us through on that as
Yeah.
far, I mean, we all hear bits and pieces of, you know, can you go through where the dollars were created from? How long are those dollars for you know, to always, are they available for the lifetime of the pipeline? And, you know, what were some of your considerations? You know, we've shared tonight where we've utilized it and all, but what are some of your considerations and your thought process for, you know, why, one, you were selecting to not issue those out this year? And as you go forward, what is your thinking process for those dollars? And my third question is just, you know, if it's not issued out, then, you know, just advising us on what it is going to be being utilized, or why they, you know, the county and what you would be putting that towards. So we all kind of understand.
Sure. Because I've been here the longest, I remember when it came about, when Dennis Arnold was here and Mike Page and Vicki Leonard was here. And we voted that in to $1 million. I think at the time it was $235,000. And it was voted in to be used the way it was broken down. You got certain little rules that you have to, and they're not too bad, that we hold you to. But it was never intended to be used as this is the way it is forever and ever. But for the last 6 years or whatever it was in its existence, we've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to actually give that out. When you look at this year, and our goal is, this is the goal we set here. We did it last year and we intend to do it this year, I believe, is to be revenue neutral. That should be everyone's goal, I would hope. Maybe not, but that's our goal, to be revenue neutral. And with our insurance increases of almost 30%, we're going to be pushing really hard to even come close to that. So things have to get cut. And so I would say this, that the very first thing that has to be cut would be that fund, because it was not originally intended to be used indefinitely. If the funds are available, we would use it. So, and I will be honest with you, the revenue neutral didn't exist before last year. It started last year is when the rules went in. So with that said, and if that's the goal of the commission, which I believe we've all talked about, and we did it last year, we think it's important to give back to the taxpayer and not just keep everything that comes in, to lower that levy, keep it as low as possible. As you know, with everything that's going on in the real world today, that would be our goal. So that's where I'm at. And go ahead and speak on that.
That's the way I feel too, you know, as far as our insurance is gonna be up. I know David told us the other day that it could be up as much as 25% for our employees benefit package. And there's just gonna be a lot of things this year that.
Well, I guess one question I just have is, you know, yes, we have the revenue neutral rate, but I mean, prior to that, we've had the tax split. I mean, that's all been in existence since, what, 2017? So, in the basis of it, I mean, it's all based on equation factors. So, as our appraised values right now, obviously everybody knows appraised values are up. And with the appraised values being up, the assessed values are going to be up, which means for all of us to reach our normal budgets in which we would normally calculate each year, it's going to come out at lower mills right now, just because the appraised value is up. So you're still capable, you're going to be capable for sure, at least this upcoming 2023 budget period, to reach your budget that you've had over the past several years, and or even you could have the potential to have a little more in your budget just because of that basis. Now, obviously, those of us who work on the budgets right now, our concern is we all know at some point that there's going to be a crash. I mean, it's going to drop at some point. So we don't want to go overboard with anything because we got to balance back to whenever those appraised values begin to lower. So, you know, what's happening here, my question to this is that, you know, you're holding it back. You say your insurance costs are up some. So are you saying to us then that your intention was to not issue these funds out, but you'd rather keep the funds, you're going to maintain the funds within your budget dollars?
We're going to lower the mill levy if that happens.
Well, but I'm saying those dollars, the dollars come in from the pipeline, correct? From the gas pipeline. So they're generated every year, correct? No matter what. You generate that fund for whatever agreement you have with the pipeline, correct?
I'm not, Rick, do you know anything about that? What are their guidelines when they gave you guys that potluck of money?
Well, it was just off of your,
Valuation.
evaluation base for the county is what it is off of, as far as our evaluations, and our evaluations are up this year. But in order to stay revenue neutral, we're gonna have to drop the mill levy, like, I think 5 mills, right?
Probably pretty close to that.
If we stay revenue neutral.
And our mill levy, I don't know, I think it's gonna be around 300,000 this year. So that's a lot of money. So I would say maybe some of that can be made up, maybe, but that money gets removed. Just thinking out loud,
Right.
that if some of the ARPA money is available for roads, that might help you with that. For connecting for this year, or this next year.
So that's, I mean, it's an understanding. I mean, we all understand there's times, there's times in all of our communities that there's a chance, if again, your appraiser says values are up, if any of that alters, and because we're budgeting right now, we're budgeting for a year ahead, and if things are ahead in those years to come, you're gonna end up with excessive funds oftentimes through the year, and those go back into our capital outlays, our reserves, or whatever it is
So
you want in motion.
Yeah,
But those
or you can lower your mill levy.
Right, so my basis is just, we understand, we all have to watch for some of that fluctuation and the importance that it isn't guaranteed. But it's more, I think, just that communication, because like you say, we have met quarterly now for 3 quarters. If there's going to be some potential expectation, like you say, if you have some increases that are coming forth on you, which means, hey, even just working with us at times to say, even if it's like, hey, you know what, we can't do the full amount, we might do a quarter, we may not this year, but we'll be able to possibly recover next year if things change or alter back, or something drops again. That's more what I guess I would like to see as we go forward, is just a little bit more in these meetings to share in those preparations, because I think everybody, at least from what I've heard, everybody is utilizing, at least for our small communities, most of us in our utility areas, we have only from 100 to probably, we're at 450 to 470 of meters paying for our infrastructure, support. And half the time for us to move forward with any kind of improvement or to take after these grants, I mean, any one of these grants are either matching grants, or even for USDA and those things, you have to expend the cost to get some engineering information in order to proceed, for them to look into their possible loan options or their grant options. And like I said, you're pretty much starting at those ranges where these, those of us that get 30,000 from this, or something or more than that, that's what it's beneficial for us to try to pursue that funding. Otherwise, we can't even, if our mills are, 6,000 a year, or 6,000 a mill, sorry, it's 6,000 a mill. So, I mean, technically for us to get $36,000, it takes 6 mil to do that. And so that's why we obviously look, for the opportunities, and we absolutely appreciate, the funding that you all provide in that manner, because it does help us, to move forward. And
That's my concern as well, is that in order to make up this funding, our mill levy is gonna have to change dramatically, and I don't see any possibility of us being able to meet the revenue neutral rate. And that causes more work for our city clerk, it causes more work for the county clerk. It's just a catch-22 situation.
Those small communities, if we go above neutral, we can't tax enough. I mean, we got 5 years.
And we have to raise our mill levy several in order to make up that difference.
And I think the problem, if not problem, but I think the scenario was you didn't have it before, and then you got it, and you got so accustomed to getting it every year. So this,
we utilized it well.
I didn't say you didn't. No, I've never said you didn't use it well.
I think the biggest part, and just speaking for, I think, us, is it was the way it went about. I mean, if we'd have had this meeting
and before the blow up a month ago, you know, and said, hey, guys, we're not going to be able to do that this year, next year, whatever, you know, instead of the way it went, I think it would have went over a lot smoother. I know.
Like giving us an opportunity.
It would have given us an opportunity when we were creating next year's budget to pull that out of
Yeah.
there. Because you guys see it as a gift, but we have to have it accountable in our ledger, just like you guys do. And it's how I've seen it as the last 6 years. Yeah, okay, we got a bonus because that goes through there. Well, as an employee, we'll say, as of the community, we rely on our bonuses because we're making a check to check.
Sure.
Yep.
So if we had the heads up instead of the, hey, here's an envelope in the mail or a YouTube video a month ago, it would have settled a lot easier, I think, within the city communities.
That's just.
I was gonna say some maybe too. I mean, you guys tell us. I mean, tell us what you're thinking. Are did we utilize things? Do you feel like we have done with those funds? Or tell us a little bit on your thoughts, because like Danny, I know you had a few comments of concerns of where were we spending these? So from what you have heard and what you see forecasted, is that in line with what you think as a county commissioner for the use of these funds?
And talk about it, 'cause I mean, before this, yeah, I mean, it was submitted to Jessica's office and stuff, but we see so many numbers, we don't get the details. I mean, I didn't even know Pleasanton until they were building the sidewalk, that's what they're utilizing their funds for, what, 2 years? I'm not in the hearing side, that's what I know you get used it for, but I'm all about transparency in that camera and letting the people know, because I have to go out and explain to people why taxes are high. I mean, I got beat up hardcore this year. And for people, I just want people to know what their taxes are being spent on. And I know it's not tax dollars, it's from the pipeline, but I still feel like that everybody needs to know. And I mean, I don't know how do you guys feel if when this budget's all said and done? I mean, if we're coming in good shape, are you guys opposed to seeing what we can do for the cities? I mean, I think we should all work together, we all get along, and I think if we went further, it's great that there'd be no action taken.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Done.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You know, one of the things, and I'm not trying to rehash over what happened a month ago, but one of the things that I heard a month ago was that the schools needed to have skin in the game. And I actually, one of the things I agreed with. But to me, this was county skin in the game. I mean, the 1% sales tax that helped build that jail, or did build that jail, that come off the backs of the cities for the most part. I mean, I'd say 95% of that 1% sales tax come from the cities. Any development we do ourselves. I know everything that Pleasanton has done, the $3 million worth of infrastructure that we had to do in the water lines inside of town, just to extend our infrastructure, $800,000 of infrastructure outside of town, to have a brand new Casey's, to have the new Cox dealership, to have, the new equipment rental store out there. I mean, all of that was our risk. All of that was all of our skin in that game, and none from the county, really. So to me, this was your guys' skin in the game. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I appreciate the sheet where you guys have given Pleasanton $275,504 over the last 4 years. But that 1% sales tax, if you'd have done that, and I don't know when the 1% sales tax went in precisely, I know it's been in for at least 2 years, maybe 3, but if it had been in for all 4 years, that'd have been $836,763.89 just from Pleasanton. I mean, if you guys just want to take the difference, you guys would have profited $561,000, over $500,000, well over $500,000 just off Pleasanton in that 1% sales tax to help you guys with your budget. So if you guys do that, where you guys need skin in the game, and I agree with that, I'm not arguing that fact, but this was, to me, your guys' skin in the game in our development to help you out. Everything we do, you guys reap the rewards on the property tax. Everything we do, you guys reap the rewards on the 1% sales tax.
And, will inflation need on the, money that you granted out, if you took into consideration that inflation may not go far with some of the budgets? Or am I saying that right? It's hard to predict inflation, but every time you go somewhere, the price is up, and this money may not go as far as we can make it stretch.
Sure. No, I know sheriff, as an example, when he figures his fuel cost, he's not figuring on what it costs this year. Early on, he's figuring on what it might, and he's added to it. Because it just keeps going up every day, and went up again today. So nobody really knows what's going
I
on.
mean, look at the price of diesel. I mean, all the equipment that the county uses
Yeah.
for diesel.
Road
It's hard to figure it out.
Well, the veterans are proposing an 8.9 COLA if Congress approves it by you know. So 8.9 is what they're looking at.
For their people?
Well, for Social Security and VA.
Okay.
That's quite an increase.
But probably none of us are going to give our employees an 8% raise.
But I'm saying the cost of everything like.
I think everybody's already had to give an 8% raise to keep an employee. I mean,
Almost, it seems like.
if you did not give a raise, then you probably don't have the employees you had 2 years ago.
So,
You know,
It's unfortunate, but we all face continually rising costs right now. So any hit we take is difficult.
so what we're doing now is that we're taking all of our budgets in, tentatively approving them. Usually doesn't really matter. We'll question or ask questions. And then at the end, we'll line all the budgets up and figure out where we need to be. Is that fair enough?
I mean, one thing that you said was we're trying to be revenue neutral. You don't want to have to raise your bill. So, as she had mentioned, when you pull this money from all these cities, they're going to all have to raise their bill. So, I guess we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot.
Well, I would say this, that this money was never intended for you to put in your budgets just to do whatever. I mean, it was, somebody said gift, somebody said bonus. Here's the money that we have right now. We may not have it. It's like your grandma giving you a present, you know? And she may not be able to give it to you every year. And if this is the year, if there's a year, this may be the year that it doesn't happen.
When the pipeline, when they gave you guys that money, did they have any regulations on
It's
what?
not just the no.
Maybe we're not all understanding the source of this money. What is it coming from? Are you levying a mill to create this money?
We levied that mill. We didn't raise the taxes to create the mill. The money came in from the power plant, from the pipeline. The reason I think the pipeline got brought up because after we got everything done, we had to amend the budget because the pipeline was late, the funding for that year.
The money came in after the fact that the budget had been made for the year is the way I understand it. So that increased our evaluations in the county and increased it, and that they had extra money after the budgets had been made in the
You're
Mm-hmm.
county.
saying your appraised value went up because of the
New
installation of
pipeline.
the gas pipeline.
The pipeline that went through the county.
So your
and
appraised value raised.
So they had extra money from their appraised value in the county. At the time, I wasn't here.
So with that, instead of just probably should give it back. The vote at the time was to take that money and create a one mill levy or one mill infrastructure that we gave out to the cities. And we've been doing it every year since. And every year that has increased a little bit because of the revenue that came in. So it's not happening this year as far as where we're at with that.
So with the appraised values up right now, you're
Yeah.
saying.
They're way up.
Appraised values, you do not feel you'll be able to, you do not feel that unless you lower your mills down, that you're going to be able to be revenue neutral.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Exactly.
The appraised is not up enough for what all of your budgets are asking.
With
for.
everything, yeah. And we don't even know if, with what's coming in, we don't even know that David usually comes out with a proposal. This is what the cost of living allowance could be with this, this, and this, whatever that percentage is. Hasn't even come out with that. We're buried right now.
So
And
did,
I think we went up about 300,000.
So in your guys' budgets, I mean, just out of curiosity, because I've only looked maybe, I'll be honest, maybe once or twice at the county's full budget
Sure.
kind of thing. Okay, I'll speak for the city of Lacey at least, we do have reserves. We have capital reserves, we have equipment reserves, reserves in our utilities. And so ideally, I'm gonna take it that the county probably has some capital improvement funds or reserve lines and those things that you probably put in at the end of each year, on your excess carryover. So, that's something we've looked at, like say, okay, well, we said this, perhaps in the 2023 budget, we're not going to, we're just gonna set that aside, we're not gonna be able to, we won't worry about the chance that there's maybe some excess or transfers, we're cutting them back down, we'll say, okay, this year, instead of, the typical 40 or 60,000 going to that, we're gonna just say either 10,000 or maybe just not, it's just not gonna happen for 2023 as an alternative way to avoid eliminating some of the, like you say, going in and eliminate. So you say David's working on it right now. Have you had some workshops at this point and looked at some of the various options or maybe discussed with it what some of the other options were that you all considered as you were, discussing these cuts or eliminations that you made? Was the reserves weighed out? Was this weighed? What other things were all weighed out? We're just trying to understand how your process of consideration.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you want, but as the individuals come in with their budgets, we look at it.
Right.
And with what David's just got is the value so far, what was for. So we'll just have to wait and see where it's gonna be. I don't know where it's gonna be.
So you're predicting that basically your budget's gonna be short.
Yeah.
So do you know how healthy your reserve accounts are?
I don't know, I can't give you a dollar figure. I mean, it's open to the record, but
I'm just curious because I just didn't know if you knew.
yeah, we spent, remember, we took $3 million of our reserve and we put it into the jail right away.
Okay.
So that lowered its way down.
And so the 1 cent sales tax that everybody is paying, is that a lifetime?
No.
Okay, and is that actually just being used to pay for the
bond.
jail? Is
That's
it-
all they can go to.
Yeah, and then once
But
the bond is paid, 25%, I think, or whatever.
They go to a quarter of
Goes to a quarter
Quarter.
for the operation.
Percent will stay for operations entirely.
Okay,
And that's the way it was put on when people voted.
so every year when you're getting, do you feel that 1 cent sales tax is enough to cover everything that you're doing?
So
or you're
far.
gonna have to?
So far, it's been good.
Yeah, so far
It's very good to us.
more than enough.
Well, the 25 or the quarter percent, I don't know how that'll work out over the years.
And so that's when you say you've got a little extra, so you'll be able to address some issues there and there.
Well, we didn't spend our whole bond money was not spent on this. job.
Right.
Because we eliminated a whole project over there because the cost of this went way up.
Okay.
Just for this one. So there's still gonna be a few $100,000 left over
Okay,
to invest in that.
nice. Okay. I just hope you reconsider. I would hate to think that if we tried to figure out where we could come up with that money, because honestly, we did count on it. I know it was a gift, and I get it. We'd have to go up 10.5 mills to get that money, and that's not feasible.
And maybe this year that instead of doing what you would normally do for your budgeting, if the ARPA money works out, maybe you can use that money for next year for some of the roads, because that won't affect the budget at all.
Yep.
But it's not, nobody said it was gone forever.
Okay.
And it's not gone yet because we haven't approved the budget, so.
What are you guys using your ARPA funds for?
It's sitting there also to be, like I said, we plan on doing an entire city overlay. And we were hoping some of the federal infrastructure money coming through would actually be able to something we could take advantage of. So as it gets to Kansas, we're hoping, they've been coming out with Sparks and ARPA and every other imaginable project. So I think they'll eventually come up with something that we can utilize. Right now, the roads projects are for reducing fatalities or bridges or connecting to highways. It's really nothing for just an overlay project. So we're just gonna keep stocking it up. And if we can't get any of that money, hopefully we'll have enough to just do it ourselves and not worry about it.
Okay, good.
Me personally, I think one thing that probably everybody in here was irritated about was the surprise. Had this been brought to us where we could have budgeted, because you said it was a gift. We understand that. But if everybody could have budgeted without their bonus money, I mean, I think everybody would have.
So your budgets are done, you're saying?
They had to have been.
Yeah.
Before you decided this, our budgets.
Yeah, our
had been
budgets
done
were
before
done.
You decided this. And turned in.
So I don't remember what month, but yeah, we had to have ours done in April.
June or?
Yeah, June 1st.
June 1st.
Is that,
So-
is it budgeted under, like, is it under your economic, like, where does it get budgeted?
It's not a budgeted fund in my
It's not
economic.
budgeted.
It's not in my budget, no.
Is it something where like you guys could, like your mill, okay, so if it's based in the mills and if you have your mills set, and is it feasible that you could have it in a sort of, what we would call a sort of grant situation? In other words, it's established there, it's there, and then maybe each year, you guys, say when a certain time frame hits, it's almost like a grant opportunity program in the sense that, if the funding, if things are riding well, your season looks good, you go ahead and the city submit in our letters or send in our requests, and then we can follow through with it, and in that way, maybe it gets some of the vision away from just an automatic. It's just that that way
You can apply.
you could apply for it, and that gives you guys the basis to have that funding, like you say, if it's not feasible for it to be offered that year, or only a portion of it could be offered, at least you always have the opportunity to attempt. And maybe if it says, you know what, this year all we can afford in getting out each person's submission, maybe Danny, that would help you for submitting in, we put the detail in of what we're using it for, what we're doing. And then maybe it comes out that we get this much or this much, maybe, we only get a portion of what we submitted for, but at least that window is always there on a local level for us to submit.
So, yes,
I don't know if it's possible.
probably talk to Gary and see if we can come up with something like that, maybe.
Yeah, it's 3 years, then 2 years. It depends on.
But I, at least on behalf of everybody, it sounds like, we are very thankful and grateful for the opportunities that it has given us. Because like I say, when you, on a county level, for what you all can acquire in one mill, just one mill on your guys' budget, compared to what we in our communities can only bring in on one mill, you're pretty significant. So it's great, just looking at the number right here, what you have available each year, for that purpose. So it would take us eons to get even a quarter of what you all get on that one mill.
I spoke to several people in Pleasanton, just asking them, if you don't mind, just tell me how much your property valuation went up. I know of 3 people that actually very close to me that had roughly a valuation of 89,000, and now that is 155,000 or 162,000 or 149. That's a huge jump. That is going to, the revenue neutral rate for us based on that is going to make it's going to be impossible to meet revenue neutral because it's going to drop down so low. There's no way we're going to meet it. That's the difference. We're getting all this extra property tax, so we need to drop our mill. Well, without this money, that's going to be a lot harder for us to put anything in reserve to do our projects. So I know my own personal house, it was double.
Sure, mine too.
And I didn't do anything. Nothing was different. I didn't change anything. So.
Anybody else got anything?
I would ask, and I don't know how well this works for any other community, but I brought this up to you guys before. We do a CTI in our town, a commercial tax incentive program. It's usually somebody wants to come in and build a brand new building. It's 100% tax-free for the city. Well, not tax-free, it's a tax rebate, actually. I'd love to enter into a partnership with you guys. If you guys already have too much money, you gotta lower your mill levy now. We have somebody that just bought the land around Casey's. I'm pretty sure that in this market, where everything's going, they didn't just spend $350,000 to let it sit there and devalue over the next couple of years. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do something with it. Now, we have a second person out by the highway that owns land out there. somebody that's actually landlocked, and he was talking about doing some development, so maybe wait, at least with Pleasant, we'd love to maybe partner with you guys. I know you guys do a case-by-case basis usually, but it's something we could put into a packet of, hey, here's a 3-year 100% tax rebate from the city of Pleasant, here's a 3-year or 2-year 100% tax rebate from Lynn County, so we can get some development out there. And I think that would help us. It helps you guys. Like I told you earlier, any development we do, you guys reap the reward just as much as we do, if not more. So maybe that might be something you could do with our community to help offset this.
Well, but Mountain City lost these storage units in the car wash. Talk about help. Maybe the county can help someone put a car wash back in Mountain City.
Do you guys think we have an economic development person that looks into it? Or is it just you guys?
Just us.
The council and the city council.
But I mean, we lost not just the car wash, but a number of storage units that inconvenienced people in the community.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Horrible.
I'm not gonna.
I mean, I drive clear to Pleasanton to use the car wash.
Yeah. So none of you think you're gonna be revenue neutral this year?
How could we be?
It's not
How
possible.
could we be?
Not a chance.
Okay.
Not with the evaluation increase. No way.
They went way up, didn't they?
Yep.
Way up. I don't have anything. Jessica, any-
Unless anybody else has anything that they'd like to share.
appreciate y'all coming. I hope you come again in the next 3 months.
Thank you, thank you.
No, you did good.
I don't feel